The Celtic languages are a branch of the Indo-European language family, like Germanic, Baltic, and other branches. From Proto-Celtic, the language was spoken from the Iberian Peninsula to parts of Asia Minor. These languages are referred to as Continental Celtic. But around 200 BCE, the Roman Empire expanded and caused Celtic speakers to die out or assimilate to Roman culture. Many Celtic speakers fled to the British Isles, where insular Celtic evolved, while the Romans, and later the English, ruled. From this, Proto-Insular Celtic split into two main branches. Q Celtic, or Goidelic, includes Irish, Scottish, and Manx. The other branch, P Celtic, or Brythonic, has Welsh, Breton, and Cornish. The mutual intelligibility between the languages in each branch is low, but aren't mutually intelligible between both branches themselves. 4 periods are used to construct the development of Welsh: primitive, old, middle, and modern. Primitive Welsh is still widely debated, with some historians' dates being different from each other's. Old Welsh was spoken from the 9th to 11th centuries, where poetry from Wales and Scotland had been preserved. After being ruled by the Romans, Germanic and Gaelic colonization of Britain proceeded. In Middle Welsh, it was spoken from the 12th to 14th centuries, of which remains more than any other period of literature. Wales was under the control of the English in 1282. This forced contact led to the decline of Welsh speakers in Wales for the longest time. By modern Welsh, at the start of the 20th century, various pockets of Welsh were spoken, where a considerable percent of people were either mixed in both English and Welsh or only spoke English. Welsh translations of the Bible helped the use of Welsh in daily life, with the New Testament translated by William Salisbury and later William Morgan, who translated the whole Bible itself. While there have been many times Welsh was considered an endangered language, education has kept Welsh strong. Of Welsh's 892,200 speakers, the majority of them live in Wales. But due to migrations throughout the whole world, a huge portion of the Welsh population reside in Chubut Province, Argentina. So, what is Welsh like? Before we start, the sample speaker for the video is a Northwestern speaker, with some standardization for the sake of this video. So I'm curious how you would pronounce some of these samples I provide in this video. Comment down below. Pronunciation and orthography. Welsh's alphabet is similar to that of English's alphabet, though there are a couple distinctions that make it distinct. While the letter D makes it sound D, double D makes the voiced the. The letter F by itself is a V sound. Double F in Welsh represents F. C always makes it sound K, while CH represents Ch. L is represented as L, while double L is pronounced Tla or Tla. R makes it sound R. RH represents the voiceless equivalent, Tr. T makes it sound T. TH, however, represents Th. Welsh is one of few Indo-European languages to have both dental fricative sounds. There are 7 vowel letters in Welsh, but some of them have different sounds depending on the context. Also note that circumflexes are used to indicate the long vowels. Celtic languages, including Welsh, have phonetic mutation, a sound shift that happens in context of speech. Many of these happen when a sound becomes voiced, is devoiced, or disappears. These happen when a feminine noun is definite. For example,
mam
becomes
vam.
Notice that m becomes v. Another example,
gafr
becomes.
afer.
Notice that g disappears. Phonetic mutation also occurs if any of these words come before the noun itself. Grammar. Welsh has 2 different genders, masculine and feminine. It's impossible to tell the gender by itself, however. The word for house is
T.
This is a masculine word. And the word for room.
Ystafell.
This is a feminine word. There are no indefinite articles in Welsh, only definite. The full form is before a noun with a vowel or H. For example, the money
arian.
is before a consonant,
Myfyriwr.
means the student. Apostrophe R comes after a vowel. We'll look at examples of that later. For feminine nouns, mutations occur. For example, boy,
Bachgen.
the boy,
Bachgen.
girl,
Merch.
but the girl.
Ferch.
Adjectives follow this pattern as well. The word for good is
Da.
a good boy is,
Bachgen da.
but notice that in the feminine, a good girl,
Merch dda.
D becomes voiced the. Prepositions also work differently in Welsh. They get conjugated like a verb, like in Spanish or Italian. An example is the preposition about, which is
am,
and the stem that comes before inflections is.
amdan.
For example, this sentence means we think about you.
Dyn ni'n meddwl amdanat ti.
Word for word, it's we think about you. Notice that the subject pronoun is also followed by an inflection on the word about. Another example is the word
Ar,
and the stem that comes before inflections is.
arn.
This sentence means I listen to her.
Dwi'n gwrando arni hi.
Literally, it's I listen to her. But in this case, ar meaning on, it's more like I'm listening on her. Welsh verbs also work differently as well. Let's start basic with the verb be.
Bod,
There are two conjugation groups for this verb. One group identifies who or what. These are inherent states of being. Notice that the subject pronoun is still included after the conjugation of the verb. This sentence means Sean is a student.
myfyriwr yw Sean.
Word for word, it's Sean is student. To negate the sentence, we add the word need.
Nid myfyriwr yw Sean.
This sentence can also be said as.
Dydy Sean ddim yn fyfyriwr.
The second conjugation group identifies where or how. These are for non-inherent or temporary states of being. This sentence means she's driving in the car.
Mae hi'n gyrru'r car.
Word for word, she is driving the car. To negate this sentence, we add the word
Ddim.
before the main verb.
Dydy hi ddim yn gyrru'r car.
I should also note that in Welsh, these two conjugation groups used for the verb be and their different sentence structures are only added for emphasis. By the way, what is this in right here? In, or an apostrophe, is a grammatical marker that links the verb and pronoun together. But notice that in all examples, the main verb does not get conjugated. Also note the singular form is used with plural nouns. This sentence means the children are playing.
Mae'r plant yn chwarae.
Word for word, the children are playing. Notice that the main verb doesn't get changed for person. Let's look at a few more sentences. This one means I'm not selling it.
Dwi ddim yn ei werthio.
Word for word, it's I'm not selling it. In this sentence, we see how object pronouns work. The first part of the object pronoun comes before the verb, and the subject pronoun comes after the verb. Also note that this word v causes nasal mutations. Nasal mutations are a feature of Irish as well. Let's look at one final sentence. This sentence means the bike is as slow as a car.
Mae'r beic mor araf a char.
Word for word, it's the bike is as slow as a car. Notice that in this sentence, car is pronounced as char, k to ch. In this sentence, we see an equative comparison, which uses mor plus the adjective and then a comes after. Just like English, Welsh has three different degrees of comparison. Equatives are the first. The second are comparative comparisons. To form the comparative, you attach the suffix ach to the adjective, which is followed by na. This sentence means the bike is slower than a car.
Mae'r beic yn arafach na char.
Notice that the word for slow
Araf.
has the suffix ach, and then na comes after. Both na and a cause the noun to mutate. The final is the superlative comparison, which has the adjective with the suffix av, just like est in English. The bike is the slowest is.
Y beic yw'r arafaf.
Notice the word order in this sentence is different. SVO, not VSO, like in all Celtic languages. Even if thought together with
Bod.
and the pronoun, the verb is in second position. Also note that the non-inherent conjugation of
Bod.
is used. In other words,
Yw.
not.
Mae.
Welsh is indeed a very different language. If you've never studied a Celtic language before, Welsh might be a very easy way to get into the language. Its features at first might scare you, but after looking into it, just enough to make this little video, I've come away that Welsh is not really super hard, but at least a little challenging to those who have never studied a Celtic language before. Celtic language grammar isn't really super difficult, but it does take a little mind-bending to get the handle of. And that leads me to something I'm curious about. For Welsh speakers, what other Celtic languages can you understand? How often do you use your dialect of your language in life? And for speakers of other Indo-European languages, what features of Welsh do you notice in your own language? I'm curious how similar it is to Welsh. Albeit the orthography and pronunciation aren't too different from English, its grammar at first might be a little shocking to get a handle of, but after a while, it's not super difficult and very easy for you to understand once you put it into practice, at least. Anyway, viewers, thank you all for watching this video. I will see you in the next one. Expect the video different from this one next time. Until then, have a good day. Peace.